Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. I'm Jay Randall, and on this channel we discuss wisdom for the modern man. Thank you guys for tuning in. Thank you. Give me a second here. Making sure everything is going smoothly with the stream. Okay. I think everything is good now. Sorry about that. Let me know in the comment section, guys, if the stream quality is up to par. Want to make sure everything is smooth, but everything seems to be operating fairly. If it's a bit choppy, let me know. But yeah, welcome back to another live stream, guys. I want to thank you for tuning in. I want to thank you for joining me on this other live stream. If you haven't already, please go ahead and like the video, subscribe to the channel. We've gotten a lot of new subscribers in the last couple of days. So if you like content like this, guys, go ahead and like the video. I want to thank you to all the new subscribers who've joined in. Thank you to all the new subscribers. Welcome in. We discuss content that pertains to masculinity, content that pertains to helping men better understand the world to a degree, because politics definitely affects dating. It definitely affects how people relate to one another. But without making this intro any longer than it needs to be, we are going to get directly into the video. This video, as you can see, reacting to another video from Piers Uncensored, and I watched about 10-15 minutes of the video because I wanted to see if it was worth reacting to when I was at the gym last night. And yeah, it absolutely is. Very interesting. We are fumbling here. Hang tight with me, guys. Okay. Okay, now we're in business. All right.
The latest episode of Call Her Daddy features a lengthy interview with Oscar-winning actress Charlize Theron, entitled I Don't Need a Man. And in it, Miss Theron explains how she reacts to people criticizing her for being a single mum.
I want to just look at them and just be like, do you know how fucking great it is to live exactly how I want to live, to experience motherhood exactly how I wanted to experience it? And I know the next thing they say is well, that's not fair on your kids. Can I tell you something? That will be their story to tell. I can't tell you. I can only tell you that this is the best way that I know how to be a mother to them. And maybe they'll grow up and tell their story, and I will respect that.
Well, she also wanted audiences to know how liberating it is for her children not to have a father.
I love that I don't have to run every fucking thing by a guy. I love that I don't have to, oh my God, co-parent. I fucking love that I don't have to do any of that stuff. And my children, we joke, listen, I think you can tell, this is how I raise my kids.
Yeah.
Right? We don't hide this shit.
But don't worry, while Charlize doesn't think
Wow.
husband or father is important in life, she hasn't given up on men altogether.
I found this freedom in my 40s where I'm like, oh my God. So I just want to say this in perspective. I've probably had 3 one-night stands in my entire life.
Okay.
But I did just recently fuck a 26-year-old, and it was really fucking amazing.
Fuck yes.
Yes, and I've never done that. And I was like, oh, this is great. Okay.
Let me just say that 26-year-old is the luckiest fucking man walking on this goddamn planet. He's walking different today.
Why? Because you smashed some old chick? You know how easy that is? How is that lucky? Bro, you know how many desperate 30-something, 40-something-year-olds are out there? What?
Knowing. Oh my God.
He for sure is not, but thank you.
No, he is.
Well, the episode's been viewed by nearly 1 million people so far. Reaction has been divided between those who celebrate Charlize as, quote, a powerful badass, epitome of a strong woman fighting against the evil patriarchy, and others who, in equally strident language, view the whole episode as yet another example of modern feminist media denigrating the role of men at every given opportunity, all of which makes it a good starting point for a live...
That how that lady embodied everything that I'll say this: modern society has turned what it is to be a woman into meeting these benchmarks. It's 4 or 5 benchmarks. Number 1, strong independent woman, don't need no man. Check. She said that. Single mother. Overtly promiscuous. Like 3 benchmarks, bro. Don't need a man, single mom, boss babe, promiscuous. That is like what you have to hit nowadays to be considered a strong woman. And she hit all of them. Like feminists are loving her right now. Every single check mark on the strong, independent woman liberated list, she hit. Hates men, doesn't need a man to raise kids, single mother, boss babe, and promiscuous. Fantastic.
Me for this battle of the sexes, host of the Crucible podcast, Andrew Wilson, who I could imagine was visibly shuddering as he listened to those clips. Jedediah Byler, who's the host of the Jedediah Byler Show, commentator and author of The Case for Cancel Culture, Ernest Owens, and the editor of the User Mag newsletter, Taylor Lorenz. Well, welcome to all of you. And Jedediah, welcome to you especially because you're making your uncensored debut. We always like debutantes. I'm always astonished.
Thank you very much, Piers.
Always astonished when people come back for more. But thank God they do. And thank God Andrew Wilson does. Andrew, your thoughts on Charlize Theron? She doesn't need a man. She likes banging 26-year-olds when she feels like it. You don't need fathers in life. You just need a strong, badass woman.
Well, you know, it's really funny. The reason nobody cares really very much when a 40-year-old attractive woman has sex with some random young man is because it's not impressive. It's impressive when men can bang young women because most men can't bang young women, but most older women can bang young men.
Exactly.
So it's just not an impressive accomplishment. Of course, these are the same women who will screech because, Leonardo DiCaprio decides that he wants to change up, at 25 years old, any of the broads he has hanging around. But this is not an impressive accomplishment. All a woman needs to do to get laid is go somewhere where there's men and offer it up. It's not the case for men. So it's an unimpressive accomplishment on its face. As to the rest of what she's saying, this is just normal tripe, right? Her kids are the ones who are going to get punished. They're always the ones who get punished. We can look at the data for outcomes on children who are raised in single mother homes. It's not good. It's not good for their mental health. It's not. And by the way, the rates of abuse from having strange men around skyrocket. Terrible idea. And it's exactly the wrong kind of propaganda to be pushing.
Yeah, but you could tell, like, from the short clips that were played, she didn't care about the children's outcomes. It's like, well, if they have their own story at the end of the day, that's their own story. I don't care. I'm doing it the way I want to do it for me. She's selfish. She's still thinking about herself, her happiness, how she feels. You have children. It's not about you anymore. And then she's openly promiscuous. Kids are going to be embarrassed about that later. And yeah, if she's bringing random dudes who aren't the father, biological father, she's opening those kids up to higher risks of, being SA'd. That's just the stats. So, yeah, dude, it's just typical modern feminist BS. And of course she's on Call Her Daddy, which is basically the podcast for the hoes. If you're a hoe and you're a famous hoe, Call Her Daddy. You'll definitely show up on there at some point. It's pretty disgusting.
All right, Taylor Lorenz, isn't it just a factual reality of life that women are predominantly happier with a man by their side and children are predominantly better off in life with a present father?
I think, listen, children are better off in life when they have a loving household, and not all of those households have fathers. I mean, there are lesbian parents, there are, different types of arrangements. I think it's important for kids to have different figures in their life who they can look up to. I think it's really important to expose kids to all different types of figures, but that doesn't have to be, like a man, a cisgender man that's standing around all the time. There's plenty of terrible.
You see how they think the father's replaceable, even though every statistic says otherwise? Take the father out of the home, and they just completely falls apart. The outcomes for the children are just horrible. And yet they're still pushing this narrative that the father is somehow replaceable. It's ridiculous.
Fathers out there too. So I think it's great that the child is growing up in a loving household, and hopefully, she'll expose the child to lots of different types.
Yeah, but can you acknowledge that we have now been studying this phenomenon of single motherhood for years and years and years, and that the outcomes for children of single mothers tend to be terrible in comparison to the outcomes of children without them? Can you just acknowledge that that is true?
So I think what you're talking about are studies
I'm asking
that
a question. Don't run from the
are
question.
you gonna
Yes or
let
no?
me
You can.
are
I
you gonna
want you
let
to
me
acknowledge with a yes or
you gonna
no, then a qualifier.
are you gonna
Yes or
are you gonna
no?
let
Isn't it true that outcomes for
we're not.
children when they're raised by single mothers tend to be worse than those with a mother and a father in the house? Yes or no? Then give me your answer.
So I'd love to respond if you
You're not
stop
going to
talking
answer.
over me.
All right, go ahead.
Anyway, most single mothers are not Charlize Theron with millions and millions and millions of dollars. So when you look at studies like that, a lot of it has to do with the economic opportunities that a lot of single mothers have. Women make less than men as a whole. They're subject to more sexism and discrimination. So it can often be more challenging for them to
So
raise a child
yes.
alone.
So the answer is yes.
No, the answer is Charlize
That
Theron
sounds like
is
you just said that the answer
average.
is yes.
Bro, even when you bro, most fathers aren't super rich either. People make average money, both men and women. Okay, it's not that, oh, she's super rich, so the woman can bet the when the father gets the children, he has a lot of money, therefore he can provide a better environment for the children. That's not the case. Both men and women make average money, and even in the situations where the man isn't making, millions of dollars, the outcomes for the children are still better across the board. So no, it's not that women are so impoverished. I mean, yes, single mothers tend to be the most the most broke, definitely the most in poverty for sure, but single fathers aren't super rich and they still have better outcomes.
Yes. The answer,
That's
according
hard
to
for
you
any
just
single
now, is
parent.
yes.
No, any
And then
single
you just
parent.
make excuses for it. You're like, yes,
Taylor,
but
Taylor, this
just
is
because
not-
women
Going
are
on right
oppressed.
now. This is so weird. You're like shouting
Taylor,
at me.
can I
Do
jump
you know?
in here,
Well, do
Piers?
you know what?
Yeah, okay. Let's bring. Hang on. Time
Time
out. Time out. Let's bring in Jedediah.
Taylor, this is not rocket science. First of all, ridiculous terms that, modern leftists have come up with. It's just a man. Children do better when there is a mom and there is a dad. And the reason is that men and women are completely different. They bring very different things to the table.
Exactly.
And children need the role model of a mom and a dad, not just people around. Sure, you can have aunts, you can have uncles, you can have friends, but we're talking about the two individuals that are raised.
Bruv. I don't even know the data on lesbians, but I can't imagine that it's very good. I mean, if lesbians can't seem to stop knocking each other's heads, between the washer and dryer, they freaking got Street Fighter going on in the house at all times. In other words, high levels of domestic violence. If that's the case, I can't imagine that they're doing very well raising children. I have to look at the data on that. I can't be sure. I'm just making an assumption. If they're, can't even deal with each other, I can't see how they're creating an environment for a child that's better or just as good as a mother and a father being in the household, or even to the standards of a single father household. I just can't see that being the case, but I could be wrong.
Yeah, you complained that Andrew interrupted you, and now you just interrupted me. I'm not done yet. Charlize Theron, you're right. She is rich. She has a ton of money. But what example do you think she's sending to young women everywhere that this is somehow empowering, that you should strive, by the way, you should strive to be the single mom because you don't have to deal with a guy. You don't have to answer to a man. Oh, isn't that so wonderful? And guess who'll pay the price? My kid, she even says, my kids can tell their story. How unbelievably selfish of her to say, my children will one day to get to tell a story that they had no father because I decided that I just wanted to do this myself, me, myself, and my money. Is that the message?
I wanted to go hump 26-year-olds.
Lesbians. They shouldn't be able to raise children. You need a man. What about women that raise children?
We're not talking about Taylor. No one said what should
about
be
single
allowed. I'm not
moms.
talking about.
Well, tell you what I find strange. What I find strange is I know Charlize a bit when she was dating Sean Penn, and thought she was very nice, but she was always very elegant. If you interviewed her, her whole thing was high-end, elegant, all the highest-end advertising and so on. And then you see her there in this podcast, and she's like effing and blinding, talking about banging 26-year-olds. Very, very different, Ernest, to the Charlize Theron I thought I knew. I'm not saying it's good, bad, or whatever, but I do wonder if it was a male movie star sitting on a sofa, brazenly boasting about banging 26-year-old male star, was boasting about banging 26-year-old girls, right? And he was boasting about not needing a woman in his life, not needing a mother, all these kind of things, but in reverse.
Oh, the misogyny. Women would be outraged, especially older women. If he was an attractive, popular movie star celebrity, bro, and he was talking about the flagpole in the comment section. This is so disgusting. It's the misogyny. It's the what would they call it? They would call it like grooming or just creepy. You know, why can't you find a woman your own age, a woman age appropriate? It's just weird. It's just giving immature. It's giving, you know, abusive or, you know, manipulative. All the buzzwords would have been thrown at this man if he was talking about banging younger women. Older women hate that. They hate it because we have that. It's one of the things in life, as we get older, we get more attractive. We're still able to attract, young women. As they get older, they aren't able to do so. And they're jealous of that. They're jealous of that dynamic, even though in their early years, they have a much better experience than us. But, it's not the same. They would have chewed a celebrity male out for saying anything like that, and then talking about, oh, I don't need a woman in my life. It's so great to not need a woman. Oh, the misogyny. You can just hear it. The misogyny. Yeah, man, it's the double standards. But women, if they want to get on social media or television or and talk about how they are sexually liberated and they're banging younger men and all the sexual escapades they're getting up to, that's empowerment. We love seeing more of that. They want more women disclosing how free and liberated they are and how they don't need men. Yes, that's the message. It's disgusting.
I don't think you'd be approving of this, Ernest. Tax day has passed, but for those who are reading,
sorry, Piers, we're skipping.
Do it all the time on media, on social media, in interviews. It's not actually an uncommon thing. I think the reason why there's a lot of actual shock and awe over Charlize Theron, because a lot of women actually her age don't feel the liberty to do that on a public facing platform. And so that's why we're talking about her. We don't talk about men who do it often on here because it's so norm. I mean, if you look at who's in politics currently right now, they were just doing it their entire career before they got to the White House. So it's not that much of a shock. There's a guy who got elected president.
And he screamed bloody murder about it. What are you talking about? Hang on. You liberals said that was the most horrible thing. He was a terrible role model. How could he? And here's Charlize Theron is saying this, and you're like, she's an empowered boss babe, Andrew. Come on.
You go, see, if I talk over him, Piers would be ready to tell me to be quiet and get
my time. Done talking, dude. You were done talking.
Come on,
no, I wasn't done talking, actually. Can I actually talk?
Oh, man.
You can, Ernest, yeah.
Okay, thanks. So what I was getting at is that there is a double standard. And I think, honestly, like I said before, I don't know what liberal he's talking about, but I was not a liberal that said that Trump talking about grab her by the pussy was the worst thing he ever said, because there's a lot of other things he has said that I believe feel like the only reason why we're talking about is because women like Charlize Theron often don't do this on a normal. So it feels abnormal, and that's why we're discussing it.
Listen, man, I don't know what he's watching, but more and more, especially you have The View, you have TikTok. Man, I'm seeing just countless women shameless about their sexuality, shamelessly talking about how they don't need a man in their life. It's everywhere. That's the norm. This is not rare. Like, I'm not surprised. I don't even know who that chick is. I didn't even know it was Call Her Daddy until they said the name, because I haven't even watched Call Her Daddy. I've heard some stuff here and there, but I've never watched like a full episode. I'd probably just get disgusted. I'd probably throw up somewhere. It's just hoes talking about being hoes. But yeah, dude, this chick, what she's spewing is very, very common. I'm not surprised. I'm not shocked. I'm not, gasping at what she said. It's like, yeah, it's pretty standard. I'm not surprised in the slightest. Maybe they're surprised because they actually know who she is, but I'm not.
Okay,
Ernest,
Andrew.
Why do these libs talk out of both sides of their mouth? I mean, look at it. She refused to acknowledge the outcomes for single moms. Pivots immediately.
Let's be clear.
Hang on.
Let's be clear.
Immediately. Hang on. Immediately. Yeah. Look, I'm sorry. Call it a duck. So the thing is, right? The libs on the panel, very clearly, right? She evades the answer, refuses to give us the answer of if outcomes for children of single moms are worse, refuses, gives us a bunch of qualifiers proving that they are, still refuses to do it. He says, well, this is so commonplace for men. Look at the sexual deviant that we have in the White House, and says, but I'm not throwing a fit about that. I'm not throwing a fit about that, though. Yeah, they did throw a fit about it.
Ineffective discussion. This man is just
right here.
Bro, when Donald Trump said, grab her by the, what, the whole world lost their minds. What are you talking about? Like it's just accepted. Everybody lost their mind. It was all anybody could talk about for months. For months, bro. The debate about how disgusting this is and he's a misogynist and we're letting this guy in the White House. How could he? Oh my gosh. They lost their minds. The difference is when a chick like whoever that chick was on the podcast, the clip they just showed, when she does something like that, everybody's cheering. Everybody, all the feminists are high-fiving and hugging and, yeah, this is what we fought for. More promiscuity. We don't need men. We can raise our kids by ourselves. Screw the outcomes. If they have bad outcomes, well, they'll tell their story at the end of the day. Not my problem. That's what's being glorified. That's what's being praised. When Donald Trump said what he said, the whole world lost their mind.
Everyone. Like he's very emotional.
It's an ineffective
right
discussion.
Now.
I would like you, I would just like you to actually answer the questions I ask you. Why can't you people ever do that?
I have a question for Ernest.
This show anymore, I guess. Go ahead. Sorry.
Ernest, you said there was. Hold on a second, guys. Ernest, you said there was a double standard. What are you, in your view, where is the double standard? Because I see a double standard here, but I think we see a different double standard.
Cool. So what I was saying was the double standard reaction, right? There is a lot of reaction because of what Charlize Theron said. I'm saying that I understand where that is coming from because we don't often see women like Charlize Theron on these platforms talking about their sexuality in this way.
But it's celebrated. Ernest, that's not true. But here's the difference. Every time hold on a second. Every time a man says, a guy can't even say that he prefers younger women. He can't even say, well, you know what? I prefer younger women because of their fertility is better, because they're in their peak attractiveness, because I want to have a bunch of kids and it gives me more time without getting completely trashed.
Let's be clear. Hang on. Let's be clear. If Brad Pitt came out with an interview tomorrow on Uncensored, and I hope he does. If you're watching Brad, my show is always available to you. But if he was, and he said, do you know what? Just only last week, I had the most unbelievable sex with a hot 26-year-old, right? Do you think the reaction, Ernest, would have been widespread applause for this guy? Or would it have been, you dirty old man?
Oh, yeah.
No. I'm not saying that I feel that about
Oh, man, they would have lost their minds. The old ladies, the chicks, oh, God, they would have lost their minds. Brad Pitt saying something like that? Brother, men can't do it, bro. Men can't express what they like sexually. If we say anything about young women, being the preference, it's ageism, it's giving grooming, it's giving you want to manipulate and control them, why is he even after that? Like that what do you have in common with a 26-year-old? It's just weird. It's weird. It's giving, the P word and all that. It's just a bunch of nonsense, bro. Men can't even say what they're actually biologically attracted to. They can't. But women can say the most disgusting stuff. They could say they want to get smashed by 2-3 guys at the same time. That's totally valid because female sexual liberation, embrace it. Yeah, man, men just can't say anything nowadays, especially when it comes to their preferences from a sexual attraction standpoint, unless it's falls in line with the feminist narrative.
I'm just saying that's the double standard, right? Leo DiCaprio gets mocked at every award show because he dates women half his age. Now it's Charlize Theron. Everyone's like, oh, this is amazing.
Piers,
a man would have been called a groomer.
I can give you an example where that backfired. So let me be very clear. So let me give you a good example of this, actually. First of all, it's if it's a pattern, right? Charlize Theron is not doing this on the regular. That's why this is a big news story. She's been mostly in long-term relationships. She does not have a habit of doing this. Leonardo DiCaprio's entire a lot of his romantic history has been this pattern, which has become a running joke. The first couple years he did it, no one cared. But it's been decades, like over like
Ernest,
10
that's
years.
not why that's not why it's a news story. With respect,
that's your opinion.
First of all, both of those things have been covered in the news. But the reason, what Piers is getting at, I think, I don't want to put words in his mouth. This is being celebrated. Do you understand the difference? Modern feminism has made it so that we now celebrate that Charlize Theron. And by the way, I don't give a lick, honestly. It's consensual. I don't care if she sleeps with a 26-year-old.
And by the way, there are a lot of 26-year-old men who will be absolutely thrilled that she's on the cougar market.
That's correct.
I mean,
right.
there will be.
And I don't care either. We can agree there. But I'm smart enough to acknowledge that she is being celebrated. A 22-year-old to a 32-year-old will get destroyed in every possible
you know what?
Yeah, because even though she's saying, you never can trust him when it comes to sexual stuff, but even though she's saying, oh, I only did it once, even if she said, oh, I banged 10, 20-year-olds in the last 2-3 months, she would have still got the same applause. People would have still gave her the same reaction, which is they love it, this is great, absolutely girl power. It's the same thing. So whether it's 1, whether it's 10, whether it's 15, it doesn't matter. She would have still got the same response from women and feminists.
She had no problem with what she said about a 26-year-old. That's entirely down to her. She's a single woman. She can have sex with who the hell she likes if it's consenting an adult. I do, though, have a problem with, and Andrew was, I think, right about this. In a way, what she's saying is all your quaint ideas about you need a bloke around, you need a father, you need a husband, that's all bullshit. Look at me. I'm proof it's all great. I don't believe women when they say that. I don't believe men when they say the same thing. I just think that actually the ideal is that you have a man and woman around kids and they bring them up together. And if that isn't possible...
Look at this chick. She just claimed she's not a liberal. Everything that's come out of her mouth is liberal. What do you guys think? You think this chick's like a conservative? She said, don't call me liberal. Don't call me a liberal on this show. Bro, the look is liberal, the voice is liberal, the talking points are liberal. I agree with Andrew. If it looks like a duck, if it walks like a duck, it's probably a duck. She's probably a liberal. Unless she's going to have to say something that makes me think otherwise before the end of this show, because I'm just not seeing conservative at all coming from this chick. But yeah.
And it doesn't work out. Okay, you make it work. But to actually try and pretend this is actually utopia and this is the best possible thing for your kids, I don't think that's true. And I say that as a divorcee myself. I don't think this is ever actually the ideal, but you make it work as best you can. I want to switch gears to something which really did annoy me. Lily Allen, the pop star, former pop star, let's be accurate, talking about abortion.
Abortions, I've had a few, but then again, I can't remember exactly how many.
What, really?
Yeah.
Why didn't this come up in last week's episode where we were just talking about abortions?
Because I was just letting you run with it.
Reveal everything.
I can't remember, yeah. I think maybe like, I want to say 4 or 5.
Yeah, I've had about 5 too. Lily, I'm so happy I can say that and you can say it and no one came to shoot us down.
No judgment.
No judgment. We've had about the same amount of abortions.
You know what?
I'm judging, bruv. I ain't gonna hold you. Listen. This idea that abortion isn't used as birth control, that it's this emergency thing that's in special cases. Are you kidding me? These chicks had no shame, had no remorse. It's a joke to them. Bro, if I met a chick who had 4 or 5 abortions, no way. No way, bro, I'm running. I am running the other way. No way in hell I could date a woman with that history. That's insane. 1, you're reckless, clearly. And 2, bro, you don't value your children, bro. That's scary. I'm supposed to have you around my kids. You're supposed to bear my kids. And you killed 5 already? Bro, like, good Lord.
Taylor, I'm not going to judge them in the way they think I'm going to judge them. I'm not going to judge them for having abortions. I believe in a woman's right to choose what she does with her body.
I'm a judge, bro.
I know, and we'll come to Andrew's position on that. I think we know what it is, and I'll get your view. But the point is, Taylor, I'm not I'm not against abortion. I am against women that talk about it so glibly. I am against two women sitting there just brazenly talking in a very kind of slightly boastful way. We've had 10 abortions between us, and Lily Allen can't even remember how many abortions she's had. I don't like that aspect to what was going on there. I think it's distasteful. I think it trivializes abortion. Abortion, whether you agree with it or not, you should always treat it, I think, as a serious thing, which should be taken seriously and dealt with seriously.
I hear you, Piers, and I take your point. I think that most women have a struggle with access to abortion, especially now here in America. And I think that normalizing the idea of having abortion is overwhelmingly a good thing.
We shouldn't normalize the idea of having 5 abortions with 2 women there basically making out, oh, thank God we can talk about this now. Like this is normal. That's not normal to have 5 abortions.
It should be normal to have easy access to abortion. It should be.
I don't dispute that.
This chick is saying she's not a liberal? What? She hasn't said one conservative thing since the show started. We're about 20 minutes in, and I haven't heard a single conservative talking point.
But that's a political matter. That's a social matter for the women. But it's the way you talk about it, I think, is actually, for example, in America, where it's a really hot potato, his response, I can imagine it. He'll be very angry because he doesn't agree with abortion to start with. To then see women, high-profile women like this, famous women, just talking about it in such a glib manner.
Because they want to restrict women's rights and they want to restrict women's access to healthcare. This is essential. Abortion is essential healthcare. And I understand what you're saying, but it is healthcare, yes, and it's really important.
Ridiculous.
Too. It's not ridiculous. It saves women's lives in many cases to have an abortion.
No, it just promotes reckless, careless behavior. Clearly, both of those women have been living reckless, careless lives, and limiting it is going to push women to think twice, to make smarter decisions. Because if you just have this, fail-safe, this go-to method, then yeah, you're going to get chicks like this. If you're also pushing that, destigmatize it, it's totally fine, sexual liberation, we're going to have more cases now because women are sexually liberated. And then you're going to have the destigmatization of it, which you're going to feel like, it's no big deal to kill a baby. It's not even a baby in the first place. It's just a clump of cells. So yeah, it's very, I can see why we've gotten to the point where 2 chicks are sitting at having a show together talking about how they have, 10, deleted babies between them. Is that the society that we're looking for? Is that the society that we're striving towards? Because that's insane. Imagine if the majority of women have that mindset. I mean, so many already do because most women are liberal. This is disgusting.
And it's really hard for women to get access to it. And they feel a lot of shame around it because of the social stigma.
Does it sound, Taylor, does it sound to you like those women feel a lot of shame around abortion? Is that what it sounds like?
The point is that many women are taught, and it sounds like you guys on this very panel want women to feel shame about it. And in fact, they should not.
You shouldn't be. Should you be proud of it? Is the point. I mean, let me bring Andrew in here. I mean, Andrew, I know your position on abortion, but notwithstanding that, it doesn't really concern me really whether people are for or against it. It's the way they're talking about it, I find. So let's leave the argument about whether they.
Yeah, I understand.
Yeah,
but it's totally self-centered and selfish. And look, she says, "I'm not a lib. Women need to have more abortions." The thing is, have more access to abortions. It lies through her teeth. It's a healthcare procedure. Most women's lives, when they have abortions, has nothing to do with the life of them at all, their physical health at all.
True.
Total lies from the left. On top of that, let's just point out that the other one's like, "Yeah, me too. Isn't that great, sweetheart?"
Sure.
The other one's like, "Yeah, totally. That's it's so awesome that we can just kill our children. Isn't that great?" And so we,
right now,
normal people, we.
He just called him misogynistic. First she says abortion is not murder. What did I tell you? They don't even believe it's a life. How is this chick? I'm sure this guy clearly identifies as a liberal for sure. I don't think he would, the deepest denial, like the deepest denial It's not a kid. It's not murder. You're a misogynist. She just what? Who is this chick, bro?
We normal
Listen to this
people hear.
disgusting
So anyway, we normal people hear this, like regular Joes, and of course we're disgusted by it. The fact of the matter is it just shows a complete and total lack of caring for humanity, lack of caring for children. This is supposed to be, they kill it. Really? You're going to convince me that's the more
Abortion is not
empathetic?
murder.
Wow. Yeah, dude. That's another big thing, man. I don't think women are the most empathetic, caring, nurturing sex. I really don't. I used to. Like everybody else, that was just the standard belief everybody had. The same way we believed that the children are better off with the mother until data, proved otherwise, that, actually single fathers do a much better job. There's a lot of things in society that we're just told to accept and that we never question it. And one of those things is that women are the more nurturing gender. I don't think so. I don't think so, especially with the new modern women and the way they think and the way they move. Yeah, maybe once upon a time, but not now. I don't see anything that points to modern women being more nurturing than men. Men, more than ever, men actually, not only do they do better with children, they are less likely to kill children. Men are the ones advocating against abortion. I just don't see it. I just don't see it, man.
Normal sex, give me a break. I just have one little
Ernest.
I think for me, it's just two things, right? I think that some people will feel like the way in which she went about discussing it was tasteless. I think that for people listening to it, I did. I think that there's a better, in my personal taste, right? I think there could have been a better way she could have said it, but that's just my personal preference. And I think that's just how she is with a lot of things. Lily Allen, I don't agree with a lot of things that Lily Allen says or how she says it per se. And I think that's the real thing here. However, what I think is important is that everybody's getting abortions. This whole libs, far left, far right stuff. I really get annoyed with that because it's almost as if you're acting like only one, like everybody makes decisions based on their political ideologies. And that's just so immature.
Yeah, but it's mostly liberals, though. I think we can agree on that. It's mostly liberals who are pushing for those policies, who want access to it, and they want access to it because they want to utilize it. I think that's fair to say. I don't think that's extreme. I don't think that's
reproductive. The libs.
Yeah, we can look at the reproductive stats, and we know which political party's advocating for abortion and which one isn't. We know which political party's advocating for it, which one's not.
I don't come with that. Like I'm just saying, for me, this is not a libs thing or whatever. It's really just a matter of taste. And that's what I.
But how could it not be? How could it not be a liberal?
Completely politically charged.
All right, let Jedediah speak. Jedediah.
How could it not be? If liberals are the ones, I mean, just be honest, liberals are the ones that are promoting a pro-abortion culture. Liberals are the ones that are saying this should be celebrated. The word here, Ernest, hold on a second. The word here to be used is these women are celebrating abortions. And you see young women all over TikTok, by the way, and all over social media who are echoing these voices now. So an abortion is something, whether you believe it was supposed to be safe, legal, and rare. That was the idea when people were advocating back in the day. Pro-abortion advocates were saying safe, legal, and rare. Does this sound rare to you?
See, the whole thing that they were selling women was a lie. It's all a lie, bro. Safe, legal, and rare. There was never any intention for it to be rare, but they had to package it that way so it would be, pushed. The same way they packaged that, feminism is about equality. It was never about equality. It was about female supremacy. Feminism is like a Trojan horse. Everything that they're trying to push is always packaged nicely as if it has good intentions, but it's really just a Trojan horse, and once you allow it in, then it shows itself for what it actually is. Once the policies get passed, once it gets accepted into society, into the culture, then you get to see what's on the inside, what it was actually the true intentions of it, and you get to see the malicious nature, the corruption of morality, and just the breaking down of society in general. Yeah, man, feminism was the biggest Trojan horse, and women bought it wholesale. They welcomed it right in to the to society, and now we're all suffering because of it.
Every time I have sex, I just run and get an abortion. Like I went to the dentist. This
Healthcare
is a
shouldn't be
disease
rare.
of the mind.
Access to healthcare shouldn't be rare. Access to
No,
healthcare.
Taylor, no one's talking about access. No one. You have access to a whole bunch of things in society. That doesn't mean you utilize them. These are women that are going into
because when you
like
stigmatize
guns,
abortion,
like guns,
when
right?
you
Like
stigmatize
guns, right?
abortion, when you stigmatize abortion, it leads to less abortion access.
Murder.
When you
Stigmatize murder, it leads to less murder.
Yeah, but actually, Taylor, that argument works the other way, because if you trivialize it and you look like you're slightly gleeful and you're very proud of having had 5 abortions, as both of them appeared to come over, and that's just the way we can judge them from that clip.
I wouldn't be surprised if this chick's had a couple abortions, at least one. I wouldn't be surprised at all. Bro, you couldn't convince anybody in a million years that this chick isn't a liberal. Like, the audacity to push back against Andrew talking about don't call me a liberal. Like, what do you bro? What?
They said don't be judgmental. Well, actually you can be when people are apparently trivializing it in the way they were. But I think my point is that the reason Andrew is so exercised is not just because he's anti-abortion, but here's exactly what he's been saying for a long time, which is a lot of women treat it like it's just another thing, when actually it's more serious. And I agree with that. Even though I support women's rights to have an abortion, no one should be like proud or gleeful or joyful or celebratory about it. It should. I think the tone you use to talk about it should be serious.
Can you understand how that stigmatizing? Can you understand how that stigmatizing sort of framework would be used to restrict access to abortion? Saying, well, you're not pious enough. You haven't repented enough. You're not sorry enough. So you don't.
Stigmatizing. It should be stigmatizing for women to talk about abortion like that. This is sick. This is your empowered women now out there saying, oh, I don't know, I had 4 abortions, 5 abortions, 6 abortions, like you went for a root canal.
You go,
I mean,
girl.
listen, this is not the face of an empowered woman. This is pathetic. It's sad. And this is the product, sorry to say, this is the product of modern feminism and what it has done to women, that now they weaponize their ability to kill, because that's my view. So I'm going to say it. They weaponize their ability to kill, and they expect society to put a big stamp of approval on it. And people like you do. I'm not doing it. I'm not condoning it. I'm not doing it. I'm calling it out. And if they feel stigmatized by their behavior, then so be it. Maybe that has more to do with their behavior, their crappy behavior, their sick, twisted behavior than it does by what I'm saying about it.
Okay, hold on.
Yeah, bro. Women, a lot of liberals, bro, think that we're supposed to just accept everything in society. Whatever choice people want to make, just accept it. No. That's how we got the crappy society that we live in now. We have to stigmatize, we have to judge, we have to shame bad behavior that's moving us towards a society that is going to be, worse for everybody. This is bad behavior, bro. We just keep sliding further and further into degeneracy. First, we destigmatized, just open, promiscuity. Now we're destigmatizing consequences, owning up to the responsibilities. So now you can have free sex, and now there's no consequences because you could just go kill a baby. We're creating very irresponsible adults who think that they should be able to make huge decisions with great ramifications without consequence. We're creating irresponsible adults, and mostly irresponsible females, women, because man wants the kid or not, he's still held responsible. He still has to provide financially for that kid, regardless of if he wanted to or not. But if the woman doesn't want to, she can remove her responsibility and have 5, 10 abortions if that's what she wants to do. So we're holding men accountable. Men aren't able to just shirk their responsibility the same way women can. But we're creating so, impulsive, short-sighted women who believe that society should just create these institutions that are able to remove accountability and responsibility for whatever decision they decide to make. And they just make terrible partners down the line. And I would, bro, personally, I don't know about you guys, let me know in the comments, but if I found out a chick, I don't even think I would get with a chick who had 1 abortion, much less 5. Are you bro, I'd be terrified to have that woman around children.
Wait. I just want to say this real quick. Let's be real honest here. Even if you personally do not, no way quite frankly, that you want anyone to discuss it. So I think it's intellectually dishonest to act as though we're going to use this extreme of Lily Allen, which I do agree, right? I personally think that the way that Lily Allen discussed it was not the best way. But to be honest, for those who do not support abortion, which I do support a woman's right to choose, there would have never been a way for you to approve it. So you're using the most extreme.
No, that's not. See, approve is the wrong word. Of course, someone who disagrees with abortion is not going to approve of it. But they weren't regretful of it, and they weren't like boasting about it either. It was just kind of matter of fact. And it never, of course, it rubbed me the wrong way that they did it, but I never felt like disgusted by, by them as like a person. Like I never had this reaction like I heard these two chicks boasting about it. I've heard women say, yeah, I've had an abortion before, just very matter of fact. And I'm like, okay, yeah, just move on. This is a very different thing than just a matter of fact two women talking about the fact that they did it. This is boasting, this is celebrating, this is trying to normalize it, and no, it's completely different.
Example as a way to now double down and justify every other belief that you have on this.
That's the dumbest thing. That's the dumbest thing I've ever heard. We talk about murder openly all the time. What are you talking about?
So why are we talking about Lily Allen?
Yeah, so what? We talk about things we don't support all the time. What are you talking about?
So here's what Piers Morgan and I are understanding. So let's make common sense. Piers and I both, I assume, support a woman's right to choose. I don't know, but I think we do. We both do not agree about the taste of how Lily Allen did it. However, I think for some of you all on this episode, you're not going to ever agree with this. So stop acting like Lily Allen is an example of all women who discuss having abortions, because it's not true. You just want to use it as an example to dismiss the case of abortions, period. And so that's
that's so good. Well, I see. Hang on. Let me respond. I see. What a genius.
Bro, this person clearly is not in touch with the way modern women speak and what they do and what they believe. Man, I've been on TikTok, and I know TikTok isn't the whole world, but it is a very popular app where you get to see the perspectives of a lot of women. And not only that, it's good for metrics because you can go to the comment section and you can see what the women are saying. Thousands of them. You can see what the women are saying, and you see how many people liked the comment and how many comments it has. So it gives you pretty good metrics to see like, okay, this is a pretty popular belief. Women agree with this mindset. They agree with this talking point. So it's good for gathering data in that sense. Although it's not perfect, it is really good because it's such a popular app. And lately, I've been getting on there and I've been joining lives. Not only watching videos, but I've been getting into lives, and I've been, starting debating people on certain topics. And I will tell you, absolutely, when I talk to liberals on there, they are shameless about the abortion. Shameless. Like the way they speak about it, and they'll even throw it in your face. Like, where I can't remember how she worded it, but one woman was talking about, she was like getting into an argument with a guy, and she was talking about how you'll never be able to. She was saying that men are just mad because they can't control women through children anymore, because now we can just, your baby. And I found that so disgusting. And so I totally agree with what Jedediah was saying, is that women are using it as the leverage to kill. The leverage to kill. And women absolutely feel as though they have that over men, the power over the life of that man's child. And it's really disgusting. So this man needs to get out there and actually hear what these women are saying. Go into the comment section. Go look at a very popular video or a recent video of a woman speaking about abortion who's in the affirmative and thinks it's great. Go to the comment section and listen and read what the women are saying about it. It is frightening how many women are just so openly happy and gleeful and just, don't care at all about how many babies they've killed.
Argument. Yes, Andrew, you think that all murder and murderers are bad, so you're going to point at serial killers and say, see how bad that is? Great argument, genius.
No,
You,
it's a great
it's
point.
funny.
You would have never
What,
seen
do-
it.
what a
Shameful
wonderful what a
Shameful.
wonderful argument.
What's the point
You
of
haven't
having a
responded to his
conversation with
argument, so
someone who-
clearly it's pretty good because you have zero
That
response.
was the argument. Do you understand? Do you understand that I can take things that are happening socially, point to the worst of them, even if I don't agree with them, to use that as an example of why it's bad, why thing bad, thing
Responded.
bad.
You're
Because
just
look,
talking
you
and
can see that why thing
out.
bad. Do you not? Why do you not
Crashing
get
out
this?
right now. You're crashing
Right,
out
Curtis,
right
this
now.
is
here.
this
It's so
is an
obvious.
extreme
They never-
example.
They never liked abortion. They never did.
This is an
So it was no
whether you
point to have
like
this conversation
abortion,
about Lily
whether
Allen.
you whether you support abortion or not, we're not making up this extreme example. This extreme example exists, and we're commenting on it because there were women all over the country, by the way, that will say things like, my body, my choice, who cares? Oh, yeah. And you know what? It's escalating down to other things.
The sad part is it's not an extreme example. That's what I'm saying. It's not extreme anymore. At one point, it used to be extreme. But if you're listening to what modern women are saying, if you're actually having conversations with these liberals, look at the videos they're making, look at the comments they're leaving, you will quickly realize that it's not it's not an extreme take anymore. It's the standard. Being shameless and not caring, standard. We've already reached the extreme. Maybe they just are out of touch and aren't aware of it. Andrew is aware of it because I know he does whatever and he hears what these women say, and I'm sure he does a lot of research. And he also does a lot of TikTok invasions, which I love watching. So he talks with these chicks and he hears their talking points. Maybe these two are out of touch with society of what the modern women are saying in the extreme territory.
Like Plan
No,
B.
it's not.
People popping Plan Bs like candy now.
They've been
This stuff
doing
is
it.
not being taken seriously.
Yes.
And the
So
bottom
it's
line
good
is
because
whether
they've
you
done it.
support abortion or not, this is a serious matter. And the fact that we have women out there talking about it like a trip to the dentist, that is a problem that we need to acknowledge.
Yeah, I
and figure out
gotta
what's
say,
going
I gotta
on.
say, I have to say,
They're
I
outliers.
agree with that. I don't think that the way they spoke about it did them any credit at all. And I think it actually, if I was somebody who was against abortion, that would have really enraged me to see people who have access to free and fair abortions
Abusing it.
because they're in a country where it's fine, but
rich
they
celebrities.
talk about it in
Rich celebrities.
such a glib manner. I don't like it. Let's just change gears to something else, which is just struck me as a bit odd. So I think Taylor, you said earlier that women, about Charlize Theron, women don't get paid as much as men. In fact, it's just been revealed by the Hollywood Reporter, the Hollywood Bible, that the biggest grossing movie star ever is Scarlett Johansson, which I'm told, staggering though that
That's
may
crazy.
seem, and I'm a bit surprised myself because I've appeared in 10 movies as myself, and those movies have grossed $2.4 billion. So I'm a little surprised I'm not in the mix myself. However,
Impressive.
she's bigger than Tom Cruise, bigger than Stallone, bigger than Schwarzenegger, bigger than all of them. And the reason apparently is the Avengers. She's been in the whole Avengers.
That's crazy. That's wild. Like, think about that. I mean, thinking about all the male actors, the big names. I think it was probably the Marvel movies, because the Marvel movies in the last, I would say, 10 years have really taken off, and the whole Thanos arc. So it makes sense if she was. And she was in there pretty early on. So if she was in a bunch of those movies that are making millions, billions of dollars, it makes sense that she reached that metric. But I just wouldn't think it was her. I'd probably think it would be another one of the actors. But hey, interesting.
But she's moaning as, obviously, when you get an accolade like this, the person to do reasons. So Andrew, I'll come to you on this. When promoting, I think, Jurassic Park, Jurassic Park Rebirth movie came out this weekend. She said, when I was younger, a lot of the roles I was offered or I went for had their ambitions or character arcs revolving around their own desirability or the male gaze or a male-centered story. That's less frequent, though. Something has shifted. I mean, this idea that we might go to the movies to look at beautiful people, that males may gaze at beautiful women. Is this the most shocking bombshell of the week, Andrew?
Also, it's not just that. Like, how stupid to admit that out loud. Basically, aren't you just admitting that you were a skank for money? Like, if it was really a big deal, you're like, oh, God, the male gaze, they're sexualizing me. Why would you take the role then? Just don't take the role. But apparently, if it pays good enough, she must not mind too much about that whole male gaze thing, huh? Because when it came time for her to collect those millions of dollars based on the male gaze, she definitely took the role. So I would like her to give an explanation for that. Male gaze bad, but I like to contribute to it as much as possible for money.
But here's the thing, though. Like, what are you expecting? Like, when they're acting like they're being singled out for this. When a man is casted in a movie, typically they choose attractive men, right? And the young hot actor, he has a six-pack, he's chiseled, has his beard a certain way. They definitely choose the guy to appeal to the female gaze as well. Like, I watched the new Jurassic World. Like, I watched it like a few days ago. Watched it on, what was it, Sunday? Yeah, and it was actually pretty good, actually. I watched it in 4D. I don't know if you guys ever seen a 4D movie, like the seats move. They have like water effects. They have, the seats, they vibrate, they shake. There's lightning effects, snow effects, water. It's also 3D as well. Really great experience. I took my girl out. She'd never been to a 4D movie before, so I took her there. She loved it. But back to my point. I watched the movie, and even in the movie, Scarlett was still portrayed as the attractive, like, sex appeal. She wasn't as much sex appeal as she was, like, in the Marvel movies or other movies she's been in. But look, the elephant in the room that I don't know if they're going to touch on it or not is that women age out of that role. Men age out of that role as well. The eye candy for the movie, both the male and the female, eventually both will age out. The thing is, women will age out sooner than men. So Scarlett, if these $1 million movie companies, $1 billion movie companies, they're trying to produce a movie. They want attractive women on screen because they know that's going to get the men in the seats. Well, there's been plenty of women I've watched over the years who've had that role, no longer have that role. Yeah, maybe she's reached the age where she no longer fits the bill for that character role. Which honestly, I think is probably good, because now I feel like you've established a name for yourself, and now you can like take on different roles that don't have to be confined to a sexual, dynamic. I think that would be more liberating, you would think. But of course, women like attention. They want attention, and they're going to feel some type of way if they feel that attention waning, which I'm sure every woman who was in Hollywood and who was once eye candy, who is no longer being cast in those roles, they feel some type of way about it. The thing is, what men, we have a longer shelf life, because the things that make a man attractive are not necessarily attached that strictly to time. And plus, women like the older guy look. They like that. You have some salt and pepper hair, the beard, that older, refined look. It works. So a man can stay being the sex appeal in a movie for more years than a woman can. But listen, just accept that you're a woman. There's benefits that come with that. You got to use that sexuality to launch your career and turn you into one of the most famous women in Hollywood. Accept it. It worked to your benefit. You utilized it. I don't know what you're complaining about. If it's over, it's over. Don't be mad about it. Just accept that's reality.
Aren't you just basically admitting that you're a Hollywood prostitute at that point? Like, if it's a conflict with your values, aren't you selling out for money, literally?
Well,
like,
Taylor, your eyebrows just nearly exploded, so
prostitution?
clearly you don't agree with that.
I think it's just shocking, the disgusting misogynistic way that Andrew can't help but talk about women. I mean, I would say also, by the way,
a woman?
No, women generally
A
seem
woman?
to have...
No, I'm sorry. It's not a monolith. If I can critique a woman, that's not critiquing all women. You see how that works?
Critiquing
Right
all
now.
libs, the whole show.
Yeah.
All libs.
No. These libs. These libs are not all libs.
I'm
You see how
not
that
a lib.
works?
Oh my God, it's so
You
crazy.
Oh,
definitely
yeah,
are.
you're a lib, lady.
Everyone that
Oh, yeah.
doesn't like, you don't
You just
like
so
is a
happen to
liberal.
be liberal on every social policy, but you're not a liberal. Huh?
Liberals are hardly where I'm at on social issues. Anyway, my point is that
What?
Scarlett Johansson, Piers, I don't know that I would classify that quote as moaning. What she seems to be talking about is just how her roles have changed over time. I would note that overwhelmingly women are paid less than men, even though the highest actress might be paid as a woman. But I think that what she's saying is it's not a myth that women are paid less. I'm sorry.
Equal pay myth that we can, I mean, that's a whole separate conversation.
I think in Hollywood now it's pretty well equal pay, isn't it? If you get the big roles, I don't think.
Well, I think. I think
in music, most of the biggest stars now are currently women, aren't they? Beyonce, Taylor Swift.
Right, but
I mean,
if you
I don't know. I can't think of many industries where women are not actually paid at least or more than men.
Just because there are a few very high-paid women in entertainment industries doesn't mean that women across the board make more than men. And when you look at other industries like finance or tech or some of these other,
that's because of. Listen, Taylor, this is nonsense. That's because of choices that women make. That's because of the number of hours that they work. That's because women take maternity leave. That's because guys work more hours and work harder. There's a whole bunch of reasons we can get into.
Bro, even at my job, the ones who are picking up all the overtime are the men. The women cannot wait to potentially go home early. Oh, I want an ER. Can I ER? I wonder if they're giving ERs today. Like, they're always looking to go home early. What are the men doing? Going straight to the office to see if there's any overtime. Is there overtime? They're like, they're fiending for the overtime. Like, bro, of course you guys get paid less. You don't have the same drive to go and make the money. The dudes are working crazy hours, grave shifts if they have to, double shifts, second jobs. The women, they cannot wait to clock out to go home to do God knows whatever they're doing. They want to work the morning shift and the morning shift only so they can have, the rest of the day to themselves. Whereas men, they don't care. They're going to work whatever is going to give them the hours to make the money. They're different. The pay gap is there for a reason.
We actually can adjust it for parity easily.
Can I make a comment about Scarlett, though, here for a second? Because I think what's interesting here is that, listen, she made all of her money being a sex symbol, right? She always had the boobs out. That's how she made her money. She made the decision to accept roles where, yes, she was, part of the male gaze. And that's how she made her fame. I find it really interesting, honestly, that she turns 40. She's older. And now all of a sudden she decides, oh, I'm going to negate all that. Could it be that maybe she's, the male gaze isn't looking at her the same way anymore. She's not getting those roles anymore. And she's now realizing there's a younger woman on the block. There's a hotter woman on the block. Okay, I'm not getting those roles. So
and by the way, to complete
I made all my money.
To complete the conspiracy theory, is that why Charlize Theron, at the age of 50, has gone out doing podcasts talking about banging 26-year-old guys? Could that be why? Is it to make Hollywood think I'm still hot and desirable?
I've still got it. I've still got it.
I've still got the young male gaze.
Of course, because there is an insecurity, and women don't like to talk about this, but there is an insecurity that arises in women, particularly in a beauty-driven industry. Hollywood is all about looks. It's all about the female gaze, the male gaze. You see,
it's misogyny that puts that
misogyny.
That's not hatred of women. Taylor, do you know what misogyny means? It means hatred of women. It is not hatred. Women get more insecure as they age about their looks when they're in a beauty-driven industry. That's why Botox exists. That's why filler exists.
Well, let me go to the expert on the panel when it comes to male gazes at beautiful women. Ernest, your thoughts on this?
No, I mean, to be honest, I think that two things can be true at the same time. People have the right to evolve. And also see things reflectively. What you do in your young age, I mean, heaven forbids, you all claim that you all don't support cancel culture, but, a lot of you all would make the case that maybe she did at one point in time when she was younger, may have thought that's what she needed to do and that's how she got her career. But maybe years later, she can get older and reflect and say, hey, some of the stuff I did back then.
And by the way, Ernest, it's the same. It's the same with men, right? It's the same with male movie stars. When they cross a point where the female gaze moves from them to a younger, hotter model. It's exactly the same the other way around. You look at it all the time. Look at the hot movie male stars of 20 years ago. They're not there anymore.
Right, but the
Exactly.
difference is, though, with those roles, that's actually not true all the way. A lot of these older men do get to evolve and date younger women. What we don't see that much in
No,
Hollywood.
I mean, the reason they go moves from the female gaze at a hot young movie star to something different when they get older, right? So it's, in other words, it works the same way.
But that's not the same, though. They can get a range. What I think that happened with Scarlett Johansson, a lot of these actresses, is that what you'll see with men is that they can do both. They can do the Oscar-winning Leonardo DiCaprio films, and they can also do the sex symbol films. And they can also do it simultaneously and still get the awards. Versus what we see with women in Hollywood, it seems they don't get the chance to be the ingenue or play into the sex role. But if they do go that way, they can't have both ways. So,
bro, listen, it's on you as a woman to take on roles that don't put you in the sex symbol, position. And then that gives you more of an opportunity to disclose and showcase your actual acting skills. The problem is most women are totally fine with being the sex symbol. It gives them popularity. It puts them on the front of magazines. It gives them modeling deals, all that stuff. Women want to be a sex symbol. Women want the attention, and they want the fame that comes from that. It gives them eyes from a lot of male suitors. Let's stop pretending like women aren't salivating at the thought of being sex symbols in movies. Women want the attention that comes from that. What they're complaining about is when the attention leaves. It's not that they hated it. Oh my God, all my career I hated being the sex symbol. No, you didn't. Shut up. No, you didn't. You loved it. You ate it up. You wanted to stay in that spotlight as much as possible. Stop playing games, bro. The thing is, men, bro, it's a double standard. The same way women get all the attention when they're young, men, when he's young, cool. But that same guy, because the differences between men and women can also, be an attractive actor when he's older because women like older guys. Listen, there's pros and benefits to both sides. There's pros to being a woman and the experience they have, and there's pros to being a man on the experience we have. There's pros and cons. Accept it. Stop complaining. Denzel is actually... Of course, I know a lot of women find him attractive. I've definitely heard that from chicks. But I would say Denzel's acting skills are at the forefront. Like, when you think Denzel, before you think sex appeal, if you even do think sex appeal, you think, man, what a phenomenal actor. Before you think he's attractive, you think, man, that one movie when he killed it. I remember that movie where he just nailed that character. You're thinking acting skills before you think sex. But with a lot of women, you think sex before you think acting skills. And I don't think that's sexist to say, because there are some women who I think acting skills before I think sex, and they're still very attractive, leaning into their skills as an actor and more just, letting their sexuality carry them. And they're totally fine to allow that to happen while they rake in the millions until it's no longer the case.
Why? Okay, but why would you complain then? Why would you complain and say, the male gaze is so terrible, and then take the role as a woman? Why would you take the role if the male gaze is such a problem for money?
By the way, that's own it.
Hang on. Let him answer the question. Why is it that if you really saw this as a problem from a feminist view, the male gaze, as a female actress who's aspiring, why would you take the role? Aren't you just selling out for money, dude?
I mean, I'm not a woman, so I'm not the one taking the role, but I'm saying something like I'm saying before.
See how they don't answer any questions? They just refuse to.
No, I'm answering your question. Did you not let me finish? I'm answering your question. What I'm saying is that you, at the end of the day, it's none of these things, like even the way that people vote for certain elected officials, it's never one size fit all. She had survival. She wanted to get her career. She wanted to do certain things. Does she have regrets? I don't know. But what I will say is that there's a lot of factors that people do when they make their decisions, right? There's certain people where you don't agree with everything on all aspects, but you do some. And I think at a certain point,
seems, Ernest, I hear what you're saying,
Everyone
Ernest.
else
It just seems
can
a
do it
little
too.
convenient, though. It just seems a little
Awful
convenient to
convenient,
make all
yes.
of your money off of being a sex. You should own it. She should be coming out and saying,
I totally
"Listen,
agree. I think
was a
if you,
sex symbol."
I think that the women I admire in the entertainment world are the ones who are smart but are unafraid to say, I use my sex appeal and it makes me tons of money, as well as my smarts, as well as my talent. It's a whole package. Same with the guys, right? If you're a hot movie star who's got talent, you're going to make more money than an ugly one. It's as simple as that. It's not fair. Life isn't fair.
Hollywood's not fair.
I want to end. This was a bizarre moment last week in the House of Commons here in the United Kingdom. So, just for background, we have a woman called Rachel Reeves, who is the first female Chancellor of the Exchequer. So, the second most powerful person in the British government, the treasurer, if you like, of the United Kingdom. And she did the one thing which I guess most women who had voted for her would have wished she hadn't done, which is at the weekly Prime Minister's questions with Sir Keir Starmer, the Prime Minister, she was openly crying in the background. Now, this followed a very bad week for the government, a very bad week for her. One of the signature policies that had to perform a big U-turn on. She apparently been seen having a blazing row with some colleagues and with the Speaker of the House. She then came out the next day grinning like a Cheshire cat, a little too much for my credible belief, and said that there was a personal issue going on, the details of which have not emerged, and I suspect they won't. Andrew, the problem I have with this is that I think a lot of women will have felt let down, that you finally get a female Chancellor of the Exchequer, and within a few months she's crying in the most high-profile televised moment of each week in the House of Commons. And it
this. Who could have predicted that women who are in positions of power may act overtly emotional just based on, well, even the hormones in their body? I am so stunned. I'm shocked. I can't believe that women everywhere are stunned and shocked that women, when they become very emotional, begin crying. It's no shock to me, of course. No shock to anybody else on
Let
this
me ask
panel. Do I think that
Jedediah,
inside of your leadership,
Jedediah,
inside
as a
of your
woman,
leadership scale, you should.
All right, Jedediah, as a woman, are you comfortable with what you're hearing from Andrew there?
I actually am comfortable with it, to be completely honest, because the truth is that men and women are different and we are emotional. And I kind of wear the fact that I have an emotional cycle that goes like this throughout the month, like we all do, like a badge of honor, because it's what makes me a woman. The thing is, you can't be in a leadership position and act like that. As an example, do y'all remember John Boehner? John Boehner was a disaster. He was always crying. So this is not exclusive to women. Let's just say that this can happen.
I totally
in men too,
agree. If this had been, I think if it had been a man, a male Chancellor of the Exchequer crying, he'd have got whacked even more.
Well, that's the difference, because if you remember,
Howard
John
Dean got
Boehner
ran
did,
out
there
for
were
a scream.
memes.
I mean, come on.
People were making fun of him all the time. He was the laughing stock. The difference is here, a lot of people jump and make excuses. Well, she had a bad day. Honestly, I don't care that you had a bad day. You're in a leadership position. I mean, the bond market had a sell-off because this woman was crying.
Yeah.
These have real ramifications. So I think what Andrew's getting at is, listen, men and women are different. And it does beg the question, if we are naturally more emotional, and we are by nature.
Women are not.
We are.
No, they're not.
Listen,
Yes, they are.
Look at how
we
Yes,
are.
they are.
You can
All right.
Wow, she is like, bro. I can't believe she said she's not a liberal. Like, so much cope. Like, she must be like seriously lying to herself if she truly believes that she's not a liberal. Everything that's come out of her mouth has been liberal. Women aren't emotional. Women aren't more emotional than men. Like, what world are you living in? What world are you living in that you can make that statement and actually believe it?
Taylor, I have a question for you. Taylor, if Donald Trump's bottom lip began to tremble and he started crying on national TV, when he was addressing the Congress or something, I mean, come on, you'd absolutely murder him.
He's having tantrums every week. He's having emotional
meltdowns.
He
isn't crying.
Give me a
That's not the same thing.
Have you ever seen Donald Trump cry in public?
Okay, I'm not talking about crying. If he, listen, here's the thing. Andrew does not like women having any type of emotion outside of nodding their head.
What are you talking about? What are you talking about?
He didn't actually say that. He said that. He said women. Ernest, hang on. He didn't actually say. Hang on. You're missing. Hang on. Stop talking, Ernest. Stop
you
talking
acting
for a
like
moment.
me? You're acting like a
All
woman,
Andrew
bro.
said was women are more emotional. He wasn't surprised, right? He wasn't sort of damning women for being emotional. He just
Exactly, but we're not. Look, my girl is. she's logical, but she's emotional, just like any other chick, and she has times where she cries, and just will, go through that motion when certain situations occur. She'll like tear up. That's just what girls do, bro. They have a stressful day, they go home, and they'll even admit to you, sometimes you have to have a good cry. You have to go in the shower after a stressful day and just have a good cry and get it out. So many women have admitted to me that they feel better after they've had a cry, and that's just a go-to method for them to like get it out of their system. Is just go somewhere, maybe go to the bathroom or go home, go in the shower. Are emotional, bro. It just is what it is. And that's fine. We learn to accept it. We work around it. We help them through it. But this idea that they're not, it's just so much cope.
they are more emotional. Do you dispute that?
Yeah, well, and she actually said no, they're not. How would you ever even dispute this? It's objectively true that the hormone functions that are inside of women are different than the ones that are inside of men. That is objectively true in general. Can you point to some women who are more? Hang on. Can you point to an outlier of some women? Hang on. I'm almost done. Calm down. Can you point to some women? Can you point to some women and say that they're more emotionally stable? Sure, but on average, women have far more emotional regularity than men do. In fact, they have one time of the month they're famous for.
Taylor, would you say you're more emotional than your male colleagues when you worked with men?
Oh gosh, I've worked with men that have cried in my arms, and it's so funny for Andrew to say this.
Yeah,
As
right.
Andrew
Those aren't men, honey.
Andrew is the one that is proud out.
There you
Andrew is
go.
the one that is losing his mind on this panel, screaming and shouting and making fun and
I
doing
haven't
all these.
screamed and shouted at anybody. What are you talking about?
Please
Do you
roll
think
the
that,
tape
like,
up.
if you just assert lies, that people who watch this
Listen
aren't going
to
to be able to
right
see that they're
now.
clearly
Listen
lies?
right now, shouting over me. Listen to this. This is crazy.
Yeah, I don't know if she's ever seen Andrew before, but this is not him shouting and screaming. And the thing is, everybody's talking over each other, so to assert like your voice so that you can get what you're saying, heard, he kind of got to do that. Everyone get, your word out. But that's not him trying to shout or just be, emotional. That's just standard. And honestly, when the debates are just, calm and everybody gets their chance to speak without being interrupted, Andrew's voice is very mellow, very even. He doesn't raise it.
It's not shouting. That's not
Well, Taylor,
shouting.
let me ask you
I
this,
think those
because
hoop earrings
woman
are
to
hurting
woman-
your brain, lady.
We can do this.
It's
No,
therefore shouting.
there is no question about it that when you look at Taylor, when you look at a man, his testosterone is pretty steady. His whether you like it or not, his hormones are steady. That's what comprises a man. When you look at our hormones, they do this naturally. That's why we have a cycle. That's why we have the beautiful gift of being able to make babies. That's what makes women women. So yes, there can be an outlier over here and there. John Boehner, I use the example of John Boehner, but it's very, very safe to say that, and then if women are in leadership roles where there are serious ramifications, like a bond market sell-off, if that woman is seen crying, is that a good look overall for the country? The answer is no. Now, we can sit and have a debate over whether women should be in positions of power or not, but we can't have a debate over whether women are more emotional, because hormonally, that's just a fact.
Taylor?
Not her, but her colleagues are crying in her arms, though. They're crying in her arms.
I mean, yeah, I had a colleague that cried after something horrific happened.
That's not what you said. You said that I've had men. You made it sound like men were coming to you and falling to pieces, and they were more emotional.
I said,
Bruh, a one-off situation. She literally just said something tragic happened. Maybe a family member died. He just got the call, and he just couldn't hold it. And he just, fell apart right there. And you happened to be there and to console him. That is on a daily or weekly or monthly basis, just breaking down in your arms. That's how she painted it. As if, because when she said that statement, she said, I've had men. She should have said, I've had a man. A singular. She made it say, she said that like it was plural, multiple men. No, it was one man, one-off situation that was rare. Because I'll tell you what, I've had plenty of jobs, and I've seen women have to go off in a corner, have to go to the bathroom, have to be pulled aside because they're having an emotional episode and they're crying, and they have to be consoled by the manager or another team member. I don't think I've ever seen a man do that. I don't think I've ever seen a man have to step off the job because he was crying or having an emotional breakdown. It just doesn't happen. But you see it with women commonly. Very, very common.
I had a male colleague cry in my arms. I've witnessed somebody die in front of my face at my job because I'm a
do you
nurse.
think, though,
that's
that
not the
men
same
are more
thing.
emotional? Yeah, I know. It's so ridiculous for
Absolutely,
straw mans.
it's the same.
Is it the case that you, when you work with other men, that you're generally more emotional than them or not? That's the question.
Listen to you crash out.
She doesn't want to
Talking
answer
I don't
it.
know why you won't answer. Why can't you answer
But
the
is it
question,
true?
lady?
Just answer it.
Shouting like a little
Yeah, just
child.
yes or no.
Just
You're
answer
crashing
it.
out. Oh my God, you're crashing out. I don't know how to answer questions. Oh my God, just answer the question, lady.
Talking about how women are more emotional as you are
Are
literally.
you more emotional than your male colleagues generally or not? Can you answer yes or no? That would be great.
Are we going to get on
Are
this?
you ever going to answer the question?
I answered it many, many times to
No,
say
you didn't.
once
Okay, so
again,
yes or no would be great.
you cannot. You're like a little petulant child.
Yes or no?
You're
Yes or no?
Just yes or no,
screaming and-
bro.
and making these
I'm
silly
not
voices.
screaming. I'm holding you to account. Me talking
like,
is not
is it yes or
screaming.
no?
You ignoramus. Yes or no?
I think look at the example right here on this panel. That Andrew is absolutely
Still not answering the question, lady.
Oh my
Answer the
gosh.
question,
Women are
lady.
not
Answer the
inherently
question,
more-
lady.
See how you keep calling me lady? You won't call me by my name
Just
because
answer
you
the question. I don't remember your name. Why am I supposed to remember your name? Answer the question. Can you
Anyway,
answer
my
the question?
point, this is crazy. Women are not
Yes or
inherently
no?
more-
That's
by
what
the
she's
way.
saying. Are you not hearing what she's saying?
It's not.
You want her
Yeah.
to speak the way you want to speak, but she
Wait a
answered your
second. I'm
question.
sorry.
All right, let me
No,
ask
she-
Taylor a
my
different question. All right,
question.
hang on.
That's
Taylor,
Wow.
let me ask
Answer
Taylor.
the
Let me
Wow. I can't believe Pierce let her get away with that, bro. I would have held her feet to the fire on that one. I would have held her feet to the fire. No, answer the question. Pierce should have asked it. That way, he could hold her to it, because they keep trying to paint this idea that men or women are equal, a male's emotions and a female's emotions. Bro, she's a feminist liberal through and through. Like, not a single, and I mean not a single talking point she said has even remotely reflected conservative, anything.
I didn't ask her.
Taylor, in relation to Rachel Reeves crying in the House of Commons, did she let the sisterhood down? Would it have been better
No.
for her to hold
I
it
can answer
in?
that question. No.
Ernest, you're not called Taylor.
Hold
Taylor,
it. You look at that. They can answer questions. Yes.
Taylor?
Oh my God! Listen to this man just screeching. Anyway, I will say
Yeah,
that I
everyone
think
talking is screeching.
you are
Everyone-
screeching.
When you're talking, you're screeching.
Listen to this. How this guy thinks he's like
Oh my
running the
God.
panel.
Oh my God. Clutch your pearls harder, lady. Just answer the questions you're asked.
It's so funny how you continue.
Would you
to
like
call
me to mail you a pearl necklace so you can tug it when we're on the panel next time?
Oh,
Oh,
the one that-
I can't believe it. Oh, how I'm treated is so terrible. Just answer the
Listen to
questions.
this
And then you
meltdown
won't
that
have this
this guy-
problem.
Here's
Oh,
can I
it's a
have the
meltdown
opportunity?
now.
Okay, Taylor, answer my question, Taylor.
Yes,
dead.
absolutely. So I think that basically, generally, I take your point that any politician that shows emotion is often, or sadness rather, like crying, is often stigmatized for it. But women are
I think
stigmatized.
so to be clear, I think it depends on the circumstance, right? So if there was a terrible event,
Yeah,
right,
yeah,
and a prime minister or a chancellor came out and got emotional talking about a terrible national tragedy, of course, no one's going to ever think anything other than that's a human emotion. I think the feeling here was that things had just got on top of her. It'd been a bad week at work. She'd had a few rows before she came out, and she just lost it in public. And it was that upset other women in particular who went, come on, you're the first female chancellor. Don't do this to us.
Well, because again, women are held to this really, really intense standard. And so, yes, any sort of display of emotion like that is going to be weaponized against them by people like this man or whatever who's on the panel who can't stop shouting. But I will say that, this idea that
Never
male
shouted
leader.
You know why we hold them to the standard? It's not a separate standard. It's the same standard that men are held to. If a man was being emotional, bro, the men would have run him up a flagpole. If we had a leader that we put in charge and then he started just breaking down, crying, being emotional, bro, us men would have been like, yo, get this soft, sensitive little sissy out of here, bro. The thing is, women want to compete and be in the same arenas, the same spaces, and have the same authorities as men, but they don't want to be held to the same standard. They want to be held to the female standard, which is be understanding of my emotions, be understanding of my mood, be understanding of how I feel. No. If we're going to run the male guy up a flagpole, if he starts getting emotional and breaking down, you're going to be held to the same account because we rely on you for results. You're in a position of power. You have influence over the nation, over what happens in our lives. We don't want some emotional snowflake. So yeah, we're going to hold you to the same standard. It's not a separate standard, but women want preferential treatment. They want all the power and authority that comes with being in a male space and having that power, but they also want to have the be treated like a lady, like a woman, like a girl. No. Equality, remember? You got that job through equality. So you're going to be treated with equality, which is if you are up there being soft, we're going to have a problem with that.
Not emotional. Here he is talking over me right now.
Well, I mean, you can't help but talk about me every 5 seconds, lady. Like, what do you want me to say? You can't reference me and then say I'm not allowed to respond. You can't
Taylor,
be like,
to reference something that you said. Taylor, to reference something that you said.
Hang on, I want to hear Taylor answer the question. Taylor.
Thank you, Piers. To finish my point, I will say that this idea that male leaders aren't emotional, I think is just completely wrong because I think they're emotional in different ways. Society stigmatizes different forms of emotion in man. The way that a lot of men express their emotion as political leaders is anger. And what Ernest was talking about earlier of Donald Trump being erratic, irrational, emotional, he is extremely emotional. We have plenty of male leaders that are highly emotional, and they might not be crying, but I would say that they're...
Listen, you can say that men, showcase anger more. I would disagree, actually. Actually, they actually did a study that showcases that women, experience more negative emotions. And, so they're actually more angry more often than men. Men are pretty, emotionally, consistent. But when it does arise, yeah, it will showcase itself as anger, but it doesn't showcase itself as anger as frequently as it does in women, because women just experience more negative emotions. But yeah, I even if men do experience, anger, it doesn't, get in the way of their leadership skills, because clearly we're still choosing men as leaders. So even by the female standard, I mean, they can say all this about Donald Trump, but both men and women voted him in. So you could say, oh, he crashes out, he's emotional, he's this and that. Well, you still voted for him. Display of whatever emotions you classify that as, we're going to get in the way of his leadership. Because if you thought it was that big of a detriment, you wouldn't have voted him in. So, yeah. The male showing, we don't view male anger or aggression as much of a detriment to leadership as we do tears, emotions, like crying in that sense. In other words, people would prefer anger over tears because anger can be utilized, it can be directed, it can be controlled, whereas emotional tears is just like a full-on breakdown.
They're great. They're very intense emotions do have significant political and economic consequences. So I think it's good to destigmatize emotion, but let's not act like there's not sexism here.
And let's also give you credit, Taylor. You probably had a harder time from Andrew Wilson in the last hour than Rachel Reeves got from her colleagues, and you haven't cried. So I think that should be acknowledged.
I'm here.
Well, give me another hour.
Please, just whine and whine and whine.
You know what? I think
So the whole thing is like, you can see even on this panel, holding women accountable is basically impossible. They don't even answer questions. Like, we asked this lady, I don't know how many questions, and she answers every question except the one we asked her, just reframes the entire debate every time. You would have had a way less hard, it would have been way less hard for you if you would have just actually answered anything we asked you.
Simply cannot let a woman speak. You'll note, by the way, how he speaks to me. He doesn't give me the courtesy of speaking with my name. He's been mocking.
You called me this man. What are you talking about?
Yeah, finally.
Yeah, what do you mean? Am I going, oh my God, she called me this man. Oh, she's so disrespectful. Oh.
This disrespectful voice. It's really something to watch. And I think when we're talking about emotion and we have a man on this very panel who can't help but do these strange little voices and interrupt every 2 seconds and get mad that he's
what
not
I find interesting. Can I just say, Taylor, what I find interesting? Hold on a second. 1 second.
Lady.
What I find interesting about this panel is that, Taylor, you chose, to be honest, you chose to talk about sexism and to say, well, women have, an unfair advantage in this and they're stigmatized in that, and to go after Andrew, when in fact I've been saying a lot of the same things that he's been saying, but you chose to make it about sexism. You chose to, because it's an easy target. Hold on a second. Because it's an easy target.
Ma'am, you are not.
But it's an easy target. It's an easy target to say the man on the panel. The bottom line is that women.
Here's the man on the panel.
Here's the bottom line.
Hey, ma'am, why don't you
want to be treated as an equal to a man? If you want to be treated as an equal to a man, then it can't always be sexism this or misogyny this.
Nobody's saying that all the men on this panel are sexist. They're saying that this guy, Andrew, will not.
It's the approach. Hold on, let me. I want to say this. It's not about
destigmatize emotion, except
right. We can
just answer the question.
The way that he
as women,
respectfully, if you listen,
here comes the tone policing.
It's about gender because there's 3 men on this panel. It's about approach. None of us have called Taylor out of panel. None of us are berating her. You see how he's disrespecting me, and I haven't even went there.
But what I'm saying to you, Ernest, listen, as a woman, I'm saying to you, as a woman, instead of crying sexism, I'm not going to sit here and cry sexism or cry misogyny when somebody comes at me. I'm going to answer the question, and I'm going to come back with facts.
Okay.
So that's all I'm saying.
You aligned yourself with Andrew. Yeah.
Hold on. So let me say this.
I'm not aligning myself with anyone. I gave you my opinion.
And that's why you will never say sexism, because the other men on this panel agree with you. I don't agree with you on a lot of points, but I'm respecting you. That's why you can't say sexism. The other 2 men, Piers disagrees with Taylor, but Piers is not disrespecting Taylor, and she's not calling him sexist because the difference.
Andrew can defend
such softies,
bro. It's disrespectful to purposely obfuscate and avoid the court with disrespect, not tone, dude. Refusing to answer the questions you're asked, that's what's disrespectful.
And doing all of these silly little voices and refusing to call me by my name, and just by basically throwing a little temper tantrum.
Well, why don't we try and end on a happy note? I want Andrew and Taylor to end by saying something nice about each other.
Oh, God.
Andrew, you go first. Something nice about Taylor.
He's alive. That's something nice. He's alive. He's alive.
Well, I mean, it doesn't look like she's going bald. I think that's good.
Taylor, something nice about
Andrew. A lot of women in that age bracket go bald. I don't know what the deal is. Maybe it's all plastic. I don't know.
I can't say the same thing for Andrew's hairline, but I guess he has a nice.
It's nicer than your hairline.
Come on, Taylor. One compliment.
Nicer than your hairline.
Well, now here he is, negating what he just said about my hair. Piers, I don't think Andrew is capable of saying something kind.
So you can rise to a higher place, Taylor. Say something nice about him.
I said I liked his shirt. I think he's got a nice shirt on, and that is really something.
Yeah, we like flannel.
Oh, so dead, bro. Listen, this lady got triggered. She was sensitive. Typical women, bro. What are you gonna do? I hope you guys enjoyed the live, man. Stay tuned. We'll probably have another one this week. This one was interesting. A lot of nonsense. I can't believe that chick thinks she's not a liberal, bro. Like, the denial is fierce with that one, bro. Like, not a single conservative thing said the entire, how long was it? Like 55 minutes. Not one conservative take, bro. How in the world are you not a liberal? Now, just because you're not a liberal doesn't mean, bro, yeah, you're a liberal. I don't care. Like, everything she said was liberal. But, hey, that's women for you. But, hey, guys, I hope you enjoyed it. If you're watching it live, thank you. If you're watching this later, I also thank you. Please go ahead and like the video for me and leave a comment. Let me know what you think about the content. And until next time, guys, take it easy.